Mogul Motivation, empowering and inspiring entrepreneurs and dream chasers worldwide, 1 week at a time. Presented by True Stories Media, and I am your host, Antoine Twiz Taylor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mogul Motivation. Welcome back. I'm happy that you are here. If this is your first time listening, this podcast is for the aspiring entrepreneur trying to get over that hump and make things happen. This podcast is for anybody with a dream that wants to go forward and accomplish that dream. Whatever platform you're listening to this podcast on right now, whether it be YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc., please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Sometimes you just don't feel like doing anything. You know, that's just the reality of it. You know, in this world, you take a lot of losses, and there are times where you're so desperate and so eager, so anxious for a win. And because you take so many losses, you just don't feel like doing it anymore. You know, you don't feel like going to work. You don't feel like waking up and trying to figure out how to grow your business. You don't feel like putting in the work. You don't feel like going to practice. You don't feel like going through the motions and the rigors of life to see the fruits of your labor. You just don't feel like it because you have taken so many losses, man. Loss after loss after loss after loss. It sucks. It's draining. It's demoralizing. It's exhausting. I'm in a period like that in my life right now. I mean, last week I told you guys that this year I will accomplish some goals in my life that I've been actively chasing for over 10 years. And while that still rings true, I still believe that. Nonetheless, this past week has been a rough week for me. It's been a lot of low points and I am frustrated. I don't like the fact that the low points come lower and lower. And like next thing you know, you're knee deep in the valley, like knee deep upside down in the valley at that. But the thing is, although it hurts, although it's painful, although it's frustrating, it's best to experience that now, right? You know, it's easier said than done. It's easier to say that, you know, oh, it's going to work out and it's going to pay off. It's easy to say that when you're actually going through the pain, when you're in the darkness, when you're in the valley, when you're upside down, when debts are high and funds are low and you just are taking so many losses and you don't have a win nowhere in sight. It's easy to say that. But I look back over the course of my life and I look at other moments where I've been in the same exact situation. And eventually that valley came to an end. Eventually I saw the sun rise. Eventually I made it to the mountaintop, and this situation is no different. So what I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen out there, is whatever you may feel. And if you have been taking loss after loss, if you took another loss as you're listening to this, if you haven't seen a win and you don't know how long, if you don't know how you're going to get out of it, I urge you to take a step back, take some deep breaths, and remember the times where you was in this same position before and how God brought you through in that 11th hour. I don't know what your situation is. I don't know how your situation is going to be solved, whether it be career, business, personal, but I do know it will be solved. I do know that this pain you're feeling right now will eventually fade away, and it's going to be replaced with joy. It's going to be replaced with happiness. It's going to be replaced with relief. So I'm praying for you right now, but praying is not enough. You still have to show up. So you don't feel like going to work today. I get it. You don't feel like working on your business today. I get it. You don't feel like going to practice today. I get it. You don't feel like going to the gym today. I get it. But do something, because sitting in it is not going to move the needle. What's going to move the needle is you doing something. I didn't even want to do this podcast this morning. I had 3 topics planned out, and I'm not doing any of those 3 topics. This topic I'm talking about right now is a freestyle. I didn't even feel like doing this podcast this morning, but I know me not doing this podcast is not going to move the needle. I know me not going to the gym today is not going to move the needle. I know me not working on my daily task for my business is not going to move the needle. All those goals I talked about on the previous episode, last week about how this year I'm going to accomplish those goals, I'm not going to accomplish those goals or move the needle towards those goals if I continue to sit in this pain right now. This pain will not paralyze me, and the pain cannot paralyze you. You have to move the needle, ladies and gentlemen. Even if you don't go as hard as you usually do, even if you don't do as much work as you usually do, you still have to do something, because your body and your brain has to understand that this pain you're going through is not your DNA right now. This pain you're going through is temporary right now. What's permanent, what's everlasting, what is true is the work ethic. What is true is the ambition. What is true is the determination. What is true is the faith. You have to move the needle, and you still have to do what you got to do today. Even if you do a little bit, you still did more than what the enemy wanted you to do. The enemy wants you to stay stuck in the mud. The enemy wants you to stay upside down in this valley, but we will not stay upside down in this valley. We will continue to move forward until we get out of this valley, until we get to the mountaintop, and until we see that sunrise. We will not lose anymore. You took a lot of losses. I took a lot of losses in this past week alone. Took a lot of losses in this past 10 years. You took in a lot of losses. You took a lot of financial losses. You took a lot of emotional losses. You took a lot of mental losses. But those losses eventually won't mean anything, because you're going to win. Mike took so many losses in the 80s when he was playing the Pistons, the Celtics. He was dropping 63, 60 points, still getting swept. He was taking all those losses. And while people still understand and remember those losses, what they remember first and foremost is 6 rings, 6-0 in the finals. Eventually, when you win, that win is what's going to be your definition. The losses will not be your definition. The losses are a part of your story and a part of your journey and a part of your past, but the wins is what's going to stick. The wins is what's going to be paramount. So that's my message this morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's continue to work. Let's continue to imagine reality. And let's keep walking. Let's keep moving the needle. I know it sucks right now. I know you're in pain right now. I know you're frustrated right now. But let's continue to do what we got to do, even if it's a little bit, to get closer to our goals and to get out of this rut and to erase this pain and replace it with relief and joy. So if this podcast has benefited you in any way, shape, or form, I ask for 2 things as always. Number 1, leave a 5-star review. And number 2, pass it on to a friend who may benefit from it as well. Have a great day, everybody. I'll talk to you next week.